Hi guys, today we're going to be reacting to His Story. I know all of you guys know who His Story is. So we're going from some of the latest up. We're going to watch some of the latest uploaded videos. This one was uploaded 5 hours ago. It's 7 hours. Okay. So I outsmarted my parents.
My parents gave me a 2-hour screen time limit, so I spent the
Okay, why is his voice AI?
weekend playing games on things that technically
How is this guy literally one of the most popular YouTube Shorts creator with an AI voice?
weren't screens. My dad walked into my room mid-match, ripped the Xbox cord out of the wall, and tucked it under his arm. Third
That's a bad dad.
time this month, my mom appeared.
Why did I? I'm starting to turn into Louis A. You guys know who that is.
In the doorway behind him. New rules. 2 hours of screen time a day, homework first, nothing after 8. Break it once, and you lose games for a week. I sat there with the controller still in my lap, staring at the dead TV. I wasn't going to lose again, and this time, I was going to follow their exact words. The next morning, Dad found me at the kitchen table playing Pokemon on a Game Boy. He stopped halfway to the coffee maker. It's 7 a.m. You know the rules. I didn't look up. This isn't a screen, Dad. It's a display. No backlight. Different thing entirely. He shook his head and walked out with his coffee. When my Xbox timer hit 2 hours that afternoon, I switched straight to my DS. Time's up, Mom called from the kitchen. I switched devices. You said 2 hours of screen time. New screen, new 2 hours. She rolled her eyes and went back to chopping. By Sunday, they barely looked up when I sat down to play. So I dragged the old tube TV out of the garage and hooked up an ancient Nintendo in the living room. Dad walked past and stopped. What are you doing? Flat screens are screens. This is a tube. Different technology entirely. Like 100 years old. He gave up and walked away. That night, I dragged in a projector and started playing Wii Sports on the wall. I'm looking at the wall, not a screen, I announced as I bowled a strike. Dad was on the couch trying not to laugh into his hand. Mom marched in. Get that thing off my wall. After dinner, they sat me down at the kitchen table. New rule. 2 hours of gaming total, all devices combined. No matter what stupid technicality I came up with, I shook both their hands like we'd signed a treaty. The next afternoon, I came home with a huge box and dropped it on the kitchen counter. Mom turned from the sink. What is that? I pulled out Dungeons and Dragons. No screens involved. Takes about 6 hours a session though. Her face changed as she did the math. Fine, 3 hours of games. Split however you want. I shook her hand and the D&D box went back to the store the next morning. By dinner, I was on the Xbox using my 3rd hour and Mom just quietly watched, not daring to say the word screen. My parents gave me a 2-hour screen time limit. My friends and I were playing hide and seek after school when I spotted a low air vent with a loose grate and knew I'd found the perfect spot. The second my friends started counting, I pried it open and crawled.
Okay, my hiding spot became a nightmare. A nightmare. First of all, why are you playing hide and seek in school? Isn't it time for you to eat lunch or something or go to your class?
Crawled in head first, the grate snapping shut behind me. As the youngest, I was dead set on beating the big kids, and in here, no one was ever finding me. But
I thought he was 20, bro. Look at his profile picture. He looks 20 in that. Look, what is that? How is that? That. How's that? That. What?
my friends and I were playing hide and seek after school when I spotted a low air vent with a loose grate and knew I'd found the perfect spot. The second my friends started counting, I pried it open and crawled in head first, the grate snapping shut behind me. As the youngest, I was dead set on beating the big kids, and in here, no one was ever finding me. But when I tried to wiggle back out, my shoulders jammed against the metal and my stomach dropped. I pushed harder, didn't budge, and realized if nobody found me, no one would even know I was here. Through the grate, I watched the seeker drag my friends out of their hiding spots one by one. Found you, he yelled, and I grinned, safe in the dark. But the cold air kept pouring over me, numbing my body, and my legs started cramping against the metal, so I figured it was time to climb out and claim my victory. When I pushed backward toward the grate, my hands slid on the freezing metal, and I lurched forward instead, wedging deeper until I couldn't move at all. My heart slammed against the metal, so I grabbed my phone to text them where I was, but it slipped out of my hand and clattered through the grate onto the floor. I had no way to call for help, so I screamed and banged my head against
An expensive phone. It's an iPhone 17. and just dropped out like 17 feet.
The metal, but I was too deep for anyone to hear me. Then, far away, I heard my friend say, "Can't find him anywhere. He probably went home." Footsteps started fading down the hall, and I would have given anything to be found, so I screamed louder than I ever had in my life. I screamed until my throat was raw, sure no one was coming. Then the doors crashed open below, and heavy footsteps filled the hall. "I've got a phone over here, and I heard screaming," a deep voice called, inches from the grate. I banged one last time, and the metal shrieked as someone wrenched the vent open, hands clamping around my legs and hauling me out into the light, freezing and gasping. Cops and firefighters loomed over me, my friends stunned behind them, and dangling from an officer's grip was my phone, the one thing that gave away where I'd disappeared. My friends ran over and hugged me. "Bro, you're a hide-and-seek legend." My friends and I were playing hide-and-seek. My parents gave me a 2-hour screen time.
You hear about your friend like almost dying? That is so rude. Holy cow. This guy is insane. Okay. My parents wanted my sister to die.
I shot the three-pointer, and it swished, and my sister, who was rebounding for me, gripped her head. "That's 20 in a row. Scouts will lose their minds." But then she went to pass me the ball, and suddenly dropped to the floor. I ran over and grabbed her hand, but she wasn't breathing. At the hospital, they hooked her on tubes and told us her lungs had failed. She needed a transplant, or...
What? So a simple basketball game from him scoring 20 three-pointers in a row to his sister just falling on the ground. What? Holy.
She'd be dead in 7 days. Out of the whole family, I was the only match. "I'll do it. Take my lung." I raised my hand. They started prepping me, but my dad immediately stepped between us. "He's not doing it." He placed his hands on my shoulder. "You're not giving your lungs to your sister. She's just a schoolgirl while you're going to the NBA. You need them more than her. We'll find another donor." I was shocked and looked at the doctor, but he shook his head. "Since you're underage, we can't operate without a parent's signature." That night, Dad held up all my D1 scholarships letters. "You can't throw this away. This family needs you." I told him this family needs Maya and walked past him into her room. I took her hand and watched her chest rise and fall slowly. "You just gotta breathe for me. I'll do anything to make sure you breathe." Dad watched from outside and shook his head.
Wait, if her chest rose and fell, that means she's breathing. That doesn't make sense. Okay.
The next morning, I dialed every transplant coordinator I could find online, but all 63 said I needed a parent's signature. Dad's
Why 63?
hand landed on my shoulder. "Don't worry.
And why does he always have a sad face on his face?
Your mom's calling every hospital in the state looking for a donor right now." But when I looked over, she was playing Candy Crush on her phone. 2 days later, I
Candy Crush, that is the oldest game ever. My mom and her sisters used to play that so much.
was holding Maya's hand when her monitors started screaming. I panicked, and nurses instantly came sprinting down the hall, bumping into my dad and knocking him down on the way. I sat 5 feet away from my sister, watching them calling her oxygen numbers out loud while they dropped. The doctor called my parents in afterwards. "We have hours to get a transplant, not days. Maya could die at any moment." My parents looked at each other, and my mom said, "Maybe it's time to think about funeral arrangements." I stood there in disbelief as my dad nodded and started talking about which funeral home was appropriate. I couldn't take it anymore and grabbed the consent form off the doctor. I shoved it into my dad's chest. "Sign it." My dad went to shake his head, but I got in his face. "Sign it, or I'm cutting you out of my life forever. You'll lose both me and Maya. And if I make the NBA, you're not getting a cent." My mom started crying, and my dad held the papers in his hands for a long time. Then he took the pen and signed. Doctors immediately prepped me, and I woke up after surgery with my chest wrapped and on fire. But Maya was in the bed beside mine, her chest rising on its own. Through the window, I could see my parents sitting in the hallway, heads down, but I didn't care. I reached out and took Maya's hand. Now me and Maya shoot threes out back again. I can't make 20 in a row anymore, but she's alive to rebound for me, and that's all that matters. I shot the three-pointer, and it swished, and my sister, who was rebounding for me, gripped. The school prankster grabbed my waistband in the packed hallway and
Okay, I humiliated the school prankster, Demon Emoji.
yanked my pants straight to the floor.
What the?
but I had a second pair of shorts
Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Thank you, history. Okay.
on underneath because I knew this day would come, so I bent down, pulled my jeans up, and kept walking. The hallway stared at me with wide eyes. Nobody had ever watched Oscar lose, and now he stood there holding my belt loop with his mouth hanging open. He jabbed a finger at my back. "I will get you," I laughed. "We'll see about that one, buddy." The next morning, I caught Oscar rigging a
I've never seen him wave before.
bucket of
I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I've ever seen him waving. So, yeah.
expired milk over the bathroom door, then ducking around the corner to wait for me, and I laughed because this was his usual routine. So I yelled that someone was messing with his setup. He came charging back through the door to save it, and the whole bucket dumped down over his own head. He stood there soaked, milk dripping off his chin, hair flat against his face, while a dozen kids pulled out their phones and pointed. No way the prankster's actually getting dethroned. For the first time in his life, Oscar didn't say anything. He just stared at me like his little head was about to explode. "This isn't over," I patted him on the head. "Whatever you say, little man." And on the
Didn't say anything. And then he said, "This isn't over." So he said something. Okay.
morning of the spring assembly, I found a thin cord tied to the back of my jeans, trailing down to the front row.
What was that? It was going in his butt.
And Oscar was holding the end of it. He was planning to yank it the second I stood up for my science award, dropping my pants in front of 1,200 students, all because he wanted to crown himself as the school prankster. They called my name, and I walked out to the microphone. Oscar sat in the front row with the cord wrapped around his fist, grinning up at me. He waited until every eye in the gym was on me, stood up, and yanked it with everything he had. His own jeans shot straight down to his sneakers, because when he wasn't looking, I tied his own cord to the back of his own pants, and 1,200 kids saw the king of the school standing in his boxers. The gym exploded. I leaned into the microphone while he scrambled for his jeans. "Truce?" The school prankster grabbed my waistband, and my dog has always been sensitive to smells.
Okay, my dog turned against my butt. And also, there's something about colostrum. How did Oscar not realize? And also, I feel like that's the Oscar on my bus. There's an Oscar on my bus, and he is very annoying. Sorry, Oscar, if you're watching this. I don't think you are.
And one day when my wife came home, he growled his teeth and immediately started aggressively barking in her face. I was confused because he's never even gone near her, but suddenly he was sniffing her legs and biting them hard enough to bleed. She went red and laughed. Baxter is so silly. But when I pulled him away, I couldn't shake the feeling something was wrong. When she wasn't looking, I ran my hands over his ribs and legs to check for bruises to see if she'd hit him, but there was nothing there. Baxter laid there calmly licking my hand, but the second my wife walked back in the room, he shot up and started sniffing the air. Then he barked right at her. She bent down to try pet him, and that's when Baxter jumped into her face and clawed her eye. I gripped my head in horror and immediately pulled him back, but my wife was already holding her swollen eye. "Your dog is crazy. We need to put it down if it's gonna keep doing this." She stormed out while Baxter barked.
Why would you put a dog down if it's biting? Like, go to the hospital, bro. Like, what are you doing?
After her. The second she left, he ran into our room and dove through my wife's clothes, sniffing them and tearing them in half with his teeth. I stood there in disbelief because he had never been this way to anyone. I knew there was something wrong with him, so I clipped on his leash and told him, "We're going to the vet."
How did you just realize that? Like, what?
Buddy, he's gonna check you out. We started walking towards the clinic, and Baxter wagged his tail the whole way, but then he sniffed the air, once, twice. Then he started barking again, the same exact way he did at home. He started pulling me towards the crowd, and I blindly followed, my heart about to jump through my chest. His barking got louder, and that's when I saw it. My wife was holding hands with another man. My heart broke, and I looked down at Baxter barking at them. I bent down and unclipped him, and he ran straight at her with his teeth out. My dog exposed my wife's affair. My dog has always been sensitive to smells, and one day when my
That's why. He smelled the other person. Ha ha ha. This dog is so smart, even though it's just AI, but who cares?
dad placed the tripod in front of me for the 4th time today.
My dad forced me to be a YouTuber. I guess that worked because you have over 4 million subscribers. How many subscribers does I have? I'm gonna check. Okay, he almost has 3.98 million. He has 3.98 million subscribers. What the Sigma? He does not have over 4 million? I did not know that. So my dad forced me to be a YouTuber.
And dropped a brown box on the table. We're doing a toy opening for the channel. Now get your goddamn intro right.
What the? Feel like that. If any parents are watching this, don't feel like that. If your kids don't want to be YouTubers, then don't make them be YouTubers.
Pressed record, and I raised my hands in the air and did my intro, but he instantly snapped his fingers. Stop, not enough energy. Drink this and try again. He handed me an energy drink, and I stared at it with my heart pounding because I'd never drank one before. But his foot kept tapping impatiently, and I was so scared of him, I just downed it in one go. My fingers instantly started buzzing, and I ripped the box open, but he snapped again. You're opening it way too fast, you stupid kid. He shoved me aside, and I hit the floor. I clutched my foot.
Yeah. If you're a parent, don't be like this.
In pain, but he just taped the box shut again, then yanked me up. I need these views on the channel. Do you hear me? He got behind the camera and hit record, but my voice came out in a stutter because I was so scared. He took off his glasses and threw the camera down. Why do I even pay for voice acting lessons? He slammed his hands on the table and got in my face while I trembled. I quit my job to do
Why is his nose so big?
this with you full time. You're
You shouldn't quit your job.
the only reason I pay rent, so unless you want to be on the street, you're gonna smile and open that box of Pokemon. He reached out his hands and pushed the corners of my mouth up with his fingers into a smile. My legs were shaking, but I
It looks so creepy.
wiped my tears and put on a happy voice. I opened the box just like he wanted, and 15 minutes later he stopped recording. Perfect. See how much nicer I am when you do it right? He grabbed the camera and walked out. I peered around the corner to make sure he was gone, then turned and grabbed my phone off the shelf. I'd been recording everything because I wanted to show my viewers the real behind the scenes. I logged into the channel and uploaded my video. I walked into the kitchen, my chest still tingling from the energy drink, and his phone was buzzing so hard it fell off the table. He grinned. We're going viral. But when he picked up his phone and pressed play, his face went gray. He watched himself yelling at me, then leaped out of his chair towards me. I ran to the door and opened it because police were already here. He would never make me post again. My dad placed the tripod in front of me.
Good. Good. So that was the video. If you want to go watch more of his videos, then subscribe. And go subscribe to his story. He has some great videos on his channel. And that's the video, so yeah. Peace.